What's happening, sports fans? Or should I say, what's good? We are joined by Full-Time Hoops 1 himself, who does not have, he has two microphones near him, but not one of them is pointed at him. I apologize for being the poor audio engineer on that one.
What's good?
What's good? Bodie De Silva is also here. He's the Scorebook Live reporter from the San Diego CIF section. Scorebook Live is the official digital partner of the entire state, but we don't care about any of the other sections, just singularly care about the San Diego section. Aaron cares about the San Diego section a lot because, full disclosure, his son is on a tear the last couple of years, winning CIF rings left and right. But he's also just a big fan of every single level of high school basketball here in San Diego. And a big day is coming up on Saturday because the playoff brackets will drop. So, Aaron, what are you looking at right now? What is good with the end of the basketball season? Is there anything still in this season that you're looking at, or is it all playoff projections in your mind now?
I mean, I'd like, senior night, we'll get to see a couple of guys finish off their high school careers in their home gyms, their regular seasons at least. Brandon Angel tonight, Torrey Pines, that's obviously going to be one of the bigger ones that's coming up. And so you want to see teams finish strong right now these last couple of days. You want to see some of the bottom tier playoff seedings kind of work themselves out. I was at Sweetwater last night for Sweetwater San Ysidro, and that had not only league title implications, but depending on what Point Loma does their last game, I mean that could be a play-in game for the playoffs. Just there's a few things left to be rectified, but for the most part, just looking to see teams finish strong and then get ready for next week.
So Saturday, the brackets come out. We will have plenty of chances to react to when it does come out. Is there anything that you foresee, though, being is there going to be any bracket where there is drama in terms of the seeding, or is this going to be a year where we're, okay, great, like I didn't agree with that being a 7, thought they should have been a 5 or maybe an 8, but like, do you see any major drama on the forecasts?
I mean, the interesting one, going back to Sweetwater, San Ysidro, I was there with John Maffey last night, and John pointed out, Sweetwater, 18-9 or 18-10 record, 16 seed possibly in CIF, and there are some teams that are ahead of them, namely Canyon Crest with a 9-17 record. And so for the casual sports fan, the question will be, okay, well, why is an 18-10 team seated so low and a team that's got 17 losses seated higher? And, there's something to be said about going out and playing a challenging schedule. And according to the Max Preps metrics, Canyon Crest has played the toughest schedule in Division II. And so when you do that, you get a pass for the losses that you've accumulated.
Well, Bodie and I were talking about that earlier today with we were discussing number 1 seedings and whether or not Christian can jump up from 8 to 1, and just kind of the debate segued into everybody has at least 3 losses right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some team, Christian has 5, but 3 of them are the same. Like there is not this sterling year of 23-0, 22-1, 22-1 up at the tops of anything.
Now, a lot of parity this
year. Not just parity, but a lot of a very noticeable lack of a singular, other than maybe the Division III and San Ysidro, lack of a singular team who you're like, oh, they're running away with that right now.
And I honestly don't think that's going to be the case, and even in Division III, because the way that Coronado's playing at this point and the way that Eastlake's playing. I mean, Eastlake is a team that beat Modern Day Catholic. I mean, they took their lumps last night against Bonita Vista on their senior night, but it's not nearly as clear-cut as it was earlier in the year where we all felt it was going to be San Ysidro running away with it. But the same can be said about every division this year. Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you want to go division by division? Is any of that kind of spinning our wheels right now, given that this is all still hypothetical and it's not actual brackets? I mean, you have the audience if you want to go division by division.
Okay.
Bodie, if you want to jump in here, I don't want to stop you from talking about what's good with the close of the basketball season either.
Yeah, no, we talked a little bit earlier, but I mean, there's still room for movement. We won't see obviously the final brackets until Saturday. We have a good idea of where things sit, but the Foothills Francis Parker game tomorrow is likely for the winner to get a home game, which is a big game. Obviously, Foothills would like to win and become co-league champions there. We talked about a little bit in Division II, but some of those lower seeds played in a really good league, and just because they're a 14 seed or a 13 seed, I think they're just as capable of winning that first round game. I mean, when you go from probably 4 down in Division II, starting with Oceanside, I don't see much of a difference between an Oceanside to a Sarah, Lincoln, Canyon Crest. I think those are pretty even. So
I would agree. I was thinking about what I was going to say when the brackets came out in Division II, and one of the things I was going to say is I wouldn't be surprised if one of the top 4 seeds lost in the first round. It's that type of year. I mean, the depth of that division, because everyone has, one glaring weakness. So if you get the wrong matchup and that weakness can get exploited, you're in trouble. We saw that last year in Division II, where Westview, the one thing that really bothered them all year was teams that had a lot of speed. So who did they draw in the first round? Bonita Vista, one of the fastest teams in San Diego, and they lost resoundingly in the first round. So again, Division II, I think, is that division where you have a lot of teams that are going in different directions, but at this snapshot in time, they're all fairly evenly matched.
Okay.
Even BV, which is going to be they're going to be the number 1 seed. Even Bonita Vista has, one weakness, and it would be their overall lack of size. So if they, let's say they face off against a Sweetwater in the first round, Brandon Robles could give them, some trouble, at least to begin with. The 2 seed, San Diego, which obviously, my son plays for, their biggest weakness this year has been, just quality depth. I mean, they've gotten better as the freshmen have gotten better as the years gone on. But let's say, they're going in and they face a Patrick Henry that has a lot of interchangeable pieces and, can play a game of a 32-minute game against them and force them into their bench. What happens then? So it will be I think the cross matchups are very intriguing. Bodie mentioned with the open division, that Parker Foothills game is huge because I think that in the playoffs, having that home court advantage is really important. You don't see a ton. That's why they're so glaring when they do happen. 2-15, 1-16, 3-14 upsets. You want to have that home court advantage.
I mean, so is that what this is? Is we're now just into the it's down to a couple of these matchups are if it's on the road or if it's on home turf?
Road.
Is that what a lot of what we're looking at right now is less of will this team make it or that team make it, and more of just they're going to be, if they're at home they're dangerous, if they're on the road they're a coin toss game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's impossible in those situations to win on the road, but getting that home game, just guys are going to get there. You're in your home locker room. You're just more comfortable going into the game. You can ease into it. But there's something to be said for the edge of coming into a road game, and you've got the opposing team students that you're trying to quiet down. And it definitely could be a team-by-team basis and see what they prefer. But I would think that a home game is definitely the preference.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also just matchups. I think coaches are looking at their potential opponents right now. Like, say, for instance, the 14-15 in Division II, which hasn't been really vetted out yet because they're both tied with an 8.3 ranking, Scripps Ranch and Patrick Henry. Let's say Scripps Ranch beats Lincoln on senior night and Patrick Henry loses to Coronado, then you've got Patrick Henry locked in at that 15 seed. So, the potential 2 seeds, Army Navy and San Diego, are looking, okay, where do we stack up against this team? Which one will we really prefer? Which one are we rooting for tonight? And it's, that's what's going through a lot of coaches' minds right now. And then other coaches are just like, you know what? We don't care. Whoever we're going to play, that's, we're going to be prepared because they've got to stop us. It's not so much about what we're going to do to stop them. That's why we're the higher seed. But, right now you still just have a couple of things that have yet to be decided in terms of, Escondido UC. They're separated by 0.2 of a point. Del Norte and Lincoln are separated by 1/10 of a point. I mean, there's a lot of movement still left on the.
Do you think that this year constitutes another year that it proves that the seedings work, or is this going to be another year against this and in favor of we need new playoff seedings? I mean, is it too early to tell? Because sometimes there are years that come out where you're like, well, like none of this makes sense, and other times there's years like, all right, it's good.
I don't think there's anything super glaring this year.
Yeah.
I think things played out the way that we expected them to. Cathedral was the preseason number 1, and they're going to be the number 1 seed in the Open Division. Saints were the number 2. They're going to be number 2. And so things have kind of fallen into place. Obviously, the Francis Parker story really relatively came out of nowhere. But I don't. Unless there's going to be just some, like I said, Division II is the one division where I can see just something crazy happening. But I don't think that's enough to just say this doesn't work. It's not like football where you got this wholesale, just like we have to get rid of the max prep system. I don't see that.
Yeah, with the ability to flip the team ahead of you if you've beaten them head to head, it really helps make up for any mistake. The one I would look at it as it sits right now, and it seems likely that the 1-8 game in Open will be Cathedral and Christian, which we know they played last week, and they've played twice, and the home teams won each game. So if that game's at Cathedral again, obviously you'd favor Cathedral, but see if whatever Christian can put together, see if they can replicate it.
We'll find out on Saturday at 2-ish p.m. is when the meeting starts or ends.
Believe posted at 2:30.
Posted at 2:30. Okay, so we'll know posted at 2:30. I'm sure that, Aaron, you will have all sorts of stuff. People can check you out at FullTimeHoops 1. The 1 is a very important number. Bodie can be checked out at SD Preps or SB Live CA for Scorebook Live. Anything that we haven't gotten to right now? Are there people that have already kind of sealed up league championship? Is there any sort of that kind of a bow that we can start to tie a little bit on the season?
Congratulations to teams like Torrey Pines winning the outright Avo West title, El Camino winning the outright Avo East.
Poway's another one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Some undefeated runs.
Coronado.
Yep.
Coronado winning the City League. I think that I want to say Morse is still, in control for the Central League, and Tri-City Christian won the Pacific League last night, which was, good for those guys up there. Keaton Webb had a big game. San Diego High clinched a share of the Eastern League title. There's going to be a co-champion in that league. The winner of the Scripps Lincoln game tonight, which is Scripps Ranch's senior night, they'll be the other co-champion. So kudos to San Diego and the winner of that game. That league, I remember reading Bodie's piece about the top 5 leagues about 2 weeks ago. I remember looking at that piece and seeing San Diego sitting at 1-3 near the bottom of the standings, and didn't really, I personally, even being the father of a player on San Diego, was very skeptical about their chances of winning the league title. But to their credit, they won 4 straight, and
do it for Steve.
They did it for Steve. And who else are we missing? What other big?
Modern Day Catholics won the Metro Mesa. So.
Okay.
Took a loss, which was a surprising one.
Yeah.
But I think everything else took care of itself. I mean,
yeah, and obviously the one loss to Eastlake, which tied for a 3-way tie there for 4th. But other than that, 9-1, good year in that league.
Good year, yeah. Otherwise,
well, that's what's good, man. We got league champ
Helix.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about Helix. Helix winning their league, running away with their league.
Into the top 10.
Yeah,
run away with the
despite
league.
no bleachers, getting it done. That senior night was a cool scene over there.
Yeah, no bleachers, playing their games on the road for a second consecutive year, and no complaints from the Highlanders. They just keep winning.
I guess they're good on the road.
Yeah, that's what's good.
Overwhelming. That's what's good. Overwhelmingly good on the road. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Any closing remarks before we transition into basketball playoffs actually being here on Saturday?
I don't normally use this, as a platform to say kudos to my kid, but kudos.
Please do find
No, kudos to my kid. I mean, I personally challenged him when they were 1-3. You gotta figure it out, because a lot rides on this. It's not just the short term; it's long term. You want to play in Division I next year. You want to move out of Division II. So being 12-10 right now, you have to make something happen. And to his credit, 38, 10, and 7 against Lincoln, 20 points the game winner against Sarah, 23 and 7 against La Jolla Country Day. Really put together a very strong close to to his regular season, and I think he's kind of erased any doubt or questions as to whether or not he'll be, an All-CIF selection this year. I personally think he's got a really good chance of being on the All-CIF team.
If only we knew who was in charge of that. A lot of people over the last couple of years that have left the SD Prep Insider train, and look at that. We're literally the gatekeepers of high school sports now.
I'll give one more, a guy who looks like another All-CIF candidate this year, but Kimo Ferrari picking up an
Big
offer
time.
after
Brown.
the injuries he's dealt with and coming back, an offer from Ivy League Brown. So really cool.
Big time.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes.
Good for him, man. Yeah. Really good for him. Well, we will say thank you for watching the entire show, or just starting the show, or nobody watches this in order anymore. Thank you for watching for 30 seconds, hitting like on YouTube or on Instagram, and then going on to cat videos or something like that. We appreciate being as part of your scrolling day. Aaron Bergman.
You got it the first
I
time.
got it. Yes!
Bergen, dog.
I got it, bro. Nice. Completely guessed at that one. Batty De Silva. And I'm Boise.
Christian Peterson.
I'm Boise State head coach Chris Peterson. We will talk to you guys next week when we have some actual basketball brackets.
Yeah.